I guess the only thing is that you will give us your wage proposal, that we will not be responding to that.
Yeah.
After the comments.
So we have one thing before we get into the meat of the agenda, which is you can notice there's some new faces around the table for the union bargaining team. We just have a letter, it's addressed to the superintendent, but it's for the whole team to notify you that we are amending the composition of our bargaining team to the faces that you see around the table today. There's one member of our team who isn't present today. She's home with COVID, but she will, her name is on that list and she'll be here starting next session. We have one notice there for you on behalf of the teacher unit, one on behalf of the paraprofessional unit, but going forward, this is a group that is negotiating team. We understand, this is the, right, for both, we just gave you a letter at the same time, because they're.
I do have a concern that that's coalition bargaining. They're gonna have members of A, but different unit at the table bargaining for a unit A. So I would still have the same concern.
We had one and we have the right to say who's on our bargaining team.
So what would you say about coalition? That there's a member of the different unit now present, expanding the bargaining team, bargaining for a different.
The composition of the bargaining team, does then impact the content of what proposal we make, that, the composition of the team.
But the fact that they're, you would agree they're a different unit. Yeah, and so there's, no bargaining ostensibly, as I understand it, for what is not their unit.
They are on the bargaining team for a unit that they do not want.
Okay, so I think I don't want to take time to understand. So I do think we should put lights on this issue. It's something that's adjusted and presented to us. So just pick that up.
Before we go any further, could you hear in the back all right with the?
No.
Microsoft, just leave on.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing.
That's a hot mic.
Someone let us know.
Can you hear us a little bit better now?
Yeah.
Thank you, Jess. I think you're doing salary.
It doesn't bother me what order we go in, as long as we understand that we need the responses from you on the proposal before comments.
I just sent, sent you the almost to you, to, and Bill, so that you can get for our membership that they want to call.
So now who, you said it's Bill
To
me as well.
Yeah, Bill, and then I'm gonna accept it as a PowerPoint as well.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, it took a minute to come across.
Yeah, I just wanted to get that.
Sorry, you guys,
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Perfect. Great. On. No. Okay. Go ahead.
So as we're getting that presentation set up, I will just kind of set the stage for the wage proposal you're gonna see. We have it right out on the screen now, and I will send you the actual spreadsheets that correspond to the wage proposal, as soon as I get connected to Wi-Fi.
It's just not.
I know, tell me when I'm good.
There we go.
So, like I said, we'll run through the PowerPoint, I'll send you the spreadsheets, you guys can look at them in pockets and then moving forward, but this is based on the same information and the same goals that we shared with you guys at the beginning of bargaining back in the spring. You guys remember, we highlighted a few benchmarks that we wanted to see our wage, for example, they don't hit. They were 3 numbers at the top of the scale and 1 number for early career teachers. That is what we built this wage proposal off of, so some of our members are gonna walk you guys through that, I'll jump in if necessary to add color, but I think we can get from our members.
So in our June 11th session, we presented salary benchmarks for each track of our pay scale. As you can see, we are close on some of these, but vastly apart on others. It's important to note the difference between the current salaries and the benchmarks widen the further we go up the pay scale. This has a direct impact on teacher retention, as educators in Gloucester fall further behind regional peers the longer they stay in this district.
That's what I'll flag right now. The wage proposal we're gonna show you is a bit more nuanced than just a straight general wage increase to every spot on the pay scale, because we're trying to accommodate for this reality where we think that the top of the scale needs more of an adjustment. Right, so it may get a little confusing. If it does, please flag and inform me, I'll try to explain. Great.
Our union is proposing a path to get to the intended benchmark salaries over the course of 4 school years, which is 2024 through 2028. This would require the parties executing consecutive 1-year and 3-year agreements. In the 4th year, the benchmarks at the bottom and top of the scale will be reached, and the gaps in between steps be equalized. In order to get there, there would be equal increases in years 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the agreement respectively.
A 4-year path to get here. The rationale was essentially to do it in a way that is more sustainable for the district, right? Stretching that goal over 4 years means that the upfront cost is less than it would have been if we said we wanted to get these goals over the traditional 3-year path to get there. So that was the rationale behind it.
And so here is our proposed salary table for the final year of the successful contract. And as you can see, all benchmarks are met and the steps within each column are equal. Each of the 4 years covered by this proposed agreement would see an equal increase to every spot on the pay scale. 1/4 of the way from where we are right now to where we are proposing to get to in every year of the contract.
So, I say this especially as a Gloucester citizen. As you can see, a gradual rate of change would allow the city to maintain fiscal responsibility while also being able to meet teachers and educators. Agreeing now to equalize increases for the next 4 years allows for planning and time on how to fully fund our schools. And as you'll see in the final year of the contract, the benchmarks that have been laid out throughout our negotiations will be met. This covers the next 2 slides.
So I'll pause there just to try to give you a bit of more framing on how we got the numbers. So what we did was we started with the last year of the agreement, year 4. It's like, here are the benchmarks that we want to hit, so that we want to get. We evened out the steps. And then from there, we laid out the 4-year path on that. Right, so every spot on the scale each year is 1/4 of the distance between where we are now and where we want to end up.
And how did you reach the ultimate, like, where you want to end up?
With the benchmarks that we presented to you in June.
Right, and how did you reach those?
So they were based on projections of where we think the other districts in the region are going to end up at that point for years out. And at this point, we're saying we're willing to do that for you.
Warning in progress.
Yeah, the one with the bar.
I don't think it was, okay, no. So this chart shows where veteran educators in Gloucester compare to our colleagues throughout the region at the top of the Masters Plus 30 track. This is intended to represent our veteran educators. While we are comparable to other educators on the North Shore earlier in our career, we are further behind here. This is the most impactful part of the scale for retention. Educators know that once they are at the top of the scale, they will be there for the duration of their careers.
The next 2 charts are intended to predict where we would be at the end of the agreement and what we would need to do in order to get to an acceptable place.
Nice. Are those federal contracts that you're?
So
There?
I know you can't see the bottom, no, right, but those are 4 years out, nobody else has the contract that is set 4 years. Except for them. Right, so what we have done is taken a combination of years that are settled, right, generally. So, proposals that are on the table, in districts that are currently bargaining, that we know of. And for years where we didn't have a number to place in through one of those 2 methods, we assume a 3% rate. Right, it's a combination of those 3 things to try to predict out where these districts are likely to be.
The proposals from the union side or from the schools?
From the union side.
Yeah, just,
Right, so those were particularly. Okay.
just to be clear, did you say that none of the ones up there are actually settled at the moment?
Some of them are settled for 1 year, some are settled for 2 years, some are settled for 3 years, I believe Danvers is settled for 4 years ago. So it's a combination of all those things, and where we didn't have a number that baked in, we have to make some assumption.
Can you, do that with that, like the asterisks? Easier to say which ones are settled at the end of 28 versus not settled, so we know which.
I believe it's just Danvers.
Thanks.
So the next logical question is, what can we do to avoid this? The answer from or can we afford this? And the answer from our perspective is yes. This year, our proposal increases the wage bill by just 1.4 million. A similar amount to what the district had put aside for wage increase. While we still have work to do to bridge the gap to accommodate wage increases for other employees, especially our paraprofessionals, this is a gap that we should be able to figure out how to navigate.
We focus largely on how to make this path to an acceptable point, affordable in year one. Right, and then we have to commit to one another, then we need to figure out a path to fully funding school and half years of the contract. To accommodate the kind of wage increases that are gonna be taken.
No, so just to clarify, this, how much did this cost really only covers the first year?
This is the first year.
Okay.
So, just folks are clear that the number on the right-hand side that's circled in red. I think you're saying that's comparable to the $1.39 million on the left, correct? And, folks are clear that that's all salaries, including paraprofessionals, administrators, bus drivers. I just want to be
That's
clear
what
about
I'm
that.
saying.
So the proposed teacher union increase is above what is for everybody.
Yeah, I think what we're trying to emphasize is, I mean, I've been through this process 30, 40 times so far, and usually at this point in a proposal process, the gap between what's been set aside and what the union is proposing is millions of dollars apart. That is not the case right here in the first year. We think that there's a path to try to bridge this gap and get to the point that we get to by the end of this contract in a way that lives with the city's financial.
Any other questions?
There's gonna be 4 grids, we will send them.
So just a clarifying question, because I didn't get that in the first, so that number on the right is for every member of the staff across our public school. And the number for the teacher doing is greater than,
It is comparable to that number, right?
well, it's greater than that
Greater than
number,
that,
right?
yes, it is greater than that number.
So understanding we'll work together and figure out, but, I'm a little confused, like, so. You're saying it's not that far apart. It's right. But it doesn't tell us how, yeah, they're not as far apart as in other cases, what you're saying, yes, okay.
It's not that far, it's not that far apart with your teacher proposal. It is. It does not include paraprofessionals, food service workers, every other employee.
Although the teacher unit is the largest unit comparative to the other units you've mentioned, so. Again, we're not here to mince words, but again.
Is that okay?
Right.
Okay, well, thank you for that. We.
Yeah,
One of these, we're gonna pass out the response, your 2 handouts, 9.
Yeah, so you had provided us 2 documents last time. We have, as we said, really written response to each of the. Yes, of course. Yeah, or that. Yeah. Let me just. Yeah, and I'll set up myself because I've. Yep.
So we're sending 2 files around. It's similar. One says school committee response to the Nick DePardo list, which you gave us, okay? Just gotta be clear, okay? And the other one is from the 9 proposal, right? Okay.
How many copies are there? So we can determine.
20, there've been whatever we've been giving every time, so, but your team's bigger, we didn't know that, but I think there should be enough for a few other teams. Pretty sure.
You first. There's 2 documents that we. I should try to get one.
Here's the next one.
Should it?
Yeah. So the first document we'll go through is it's at top, the school committee responses to GTA proposal shared on 9/9/24. So the GTA proposal number 5, Article 24 is the top one there.
Ready? So the first one, is about the behavior support teams. We heard you last time, what your proposal was. On the top part, so just on this document, everything that the school committee is proposing or countering is in blue, everything that, was from GTA is in black. So on the first, A, B, and C there, just trying to clarify, on B, trying to clarify the language. Which I think is still, we think is still consistent with what your intention was, but, just making it a little bit clearer, we have the questions about it, it wasn't clear to us. C, we're rejecting, that's our cross out. And then the remainder of the counter proposal is to bring back, what the school committee proposed in terms of the roles and responsibilities of both the behavior support teams at the school level and also the district support team, district-wide behavior support teams. Really crucial that, to one, collect data, on, both not only negative classroom behavior, but also positive classroom behavior, looking for trends, that sort of stuff, and making sure we're in a good sense, both within schools, with school-based teams, and also across the district, what's going well and also what's challenging. Really important that we identify, and some schools have this, some schools don't, different roles for, working with students who need behavior support, on a variety of levels, because of course, students are, behaving on a variety of levels in every classroom. And then, defining roles and responsibilities as well. And the other piece is, and, for both, really both teams, is identifying what professional development, knowledge and skills would help staff, both at the school level and across the district, and monitoring those things. So we believe those, roles and responsibilities are, very much aligned with what GTA was putting forward around concerns around, student behavior, and really also, zeroes in on the fact that it's, every adult's responsibility in a school to support student safety, student behavior, student learning. And so I think that's why you see there a broad-based approach.
And does your language that you put forth last time, remove all the other proposed?
Definitions of the teams or?
No. The proposal we got on April 9th was about 2 pages on that particular proposal. And now we have A, B, C.
Our proposal was just in that.
Just this section, so this goes. I'd have to see.
Yeah, maybe some do, some
Yeah,
don't.
it was a lengthy proposal from before we were here. We weren't sure it wasn't here.
Yeah, it's fine. We copy this if you want to get it, because I get more.
Language of our original.
Yeah,
proposal?
yes, this is intended.
To replace that, okay, great. So the next one is on the IEP 504 access, we have a counter. We'd like to keep this tailored to authorized school personnel. So provide Unit A members who are assigned to implement IEPs and or 504 plans with access to such plans in a form determined by the administration. Unit A members will only have access to the portion of such plans necessary for their needs. The counter that we have on the IEP 504 access is similar to that, and the behavior plan access for the same reason. So it will sound similar, providing Unit A members access to the behavior plans they are responsible for implementing. Unit A members will only have access to a portion of such plans necessary to perform their duties. So this is the attempt to keep it within the confines of the CMRs that define personnel that have access to these documents, as well as tailor it to Unit A members within the contract. Staff there. Note on the document you have in front of you, there should be a notation under the first paragraph that we're rejecting that paragraph there. It didn't make it onto this, the printed copy. But we'll send it, yeah, no one will be saying.
Okay, yes, so, Craig just said the police staff therapy rooms are responses we reject the proposal. Student support class staffing, which is asking for student support classroom. We assigned it to qualified teachers, we know, reject that proposal. It's a plan and conduct reporting. We are, rejecting that proposal, and going back to, counter on the behavioral teams. Which is for. Discipline for grow response. We also reject that and bring it back to the.
And then I'm on page 4, which is educator union policy feedback. So we're still holding on that, but there is a process already in place where the union can speak to the school committee. So, we're holding on that.
What do you mean by? Like, you haven't given us.
We're just considering it.
We're still considering it. We have it there. The next few are operational, and so I'm not, what we know, we get a contract, so for the class sizes, we're gonna reject that. For the provider caseload, we're gonna reject that. For the overage differential, we're rejecting that, and for the inclusion for teachers, we are.
That second document that you have, which is the compilation of proposals maybe provided that you've indicated were outstanding. I think some of it I'm guessing weren't actually outstanding, but kind of we'll go through where that. So we have a counter on the recognition proposal language, which is that we would accept the K through 8 science center coordinator, the correct title, occupational therapists. We reject the remainder of the other titles that are being proposed. The next few, the FMLA sort of related proposals 2, 3, 4, and 5, they're all rejecting. We want to keep it as is, meaning the law is the law. One of those seeks in one way or another, in some places is contrary to the law. So we would like to keep it just as it is. Parental leave. So you just go through kind of the lengthier language from 2 to 3 all the way to page 4. We have a counter on that. So our counter kind of just in terms of the framework, we will be working off of Appendix D, the parental leave language. And so our proposal is to provide an amendment to that. And we propose that we do this by adding a new section 7 and under Article 18, temporary leaves of absence. I'll get to the language in second. But the point is, Appendix D, if we amend the language, we don't want it to be consistent with the law. So we don't want to sort of say that it's the parental leave law and then have both the language actually not reflect what is the law. So we want to rebate for a different part of the contract. The proposal is unit A members who access parental leave in accordance with Appendix D will be provided 5 days of paid leave. Unit A members may apply for sick days as available if the remainder of parental leave taken under Appendix D. 7 and 8 we just went over. We are rejecting the proposed language providing 1 to 9. We are rejecting the proposed language regarding servicing of substitutes in 10. As I mentioned before, 11, 12, 13 were all those that we've provided language on before, so they're not actually outstanding, we're really not in response to the language that we provided. We've got a counter on the membership sign-up distribution language, so we would accept that paragraph, strike the last line, which reads the employer shall forward complete forms to the union as soon as possible. We take out that line and we have an agreement on that. And then we're rejecting the 2-factor authentication proposal. And then we have the. I think your idea was that you would take that, use it for the purpose of rounding out your package proposal.
Yeah, this is the intention. You guys want to do which proposal?
I think it's probably better off.
I think we're gonna try it.
Package and then we can go through. Yeah.
Ready to go.
Yes.
We'll caucus, and we will let you know.
This one, thank you.
Can you guys just send me those?
Yes, yeah, I just have to figure out which ones to send those.
Yeah.
If you have a word version of it, it helps me out.
Right. So you can just- Yeah, just give me.
What happened?
If you wanna put it like on top, you can.
Fascinating. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, Bill, we gotta make sure the meeting is, oh, yeah, yeah.
Take it back.
No.
Oh, gosh.
So we're on.
Okay, that's we all set.
Stephanie.
All set?
Yes.
So.
We'd like to see you wait for it.
It's. Laid out with them.
We've given you our wage proposal, we'd like to see your wage.
The agenda that we shared before the meeting said we would both give our wage proposals, and then after the caucus, we would give our. Like to see your wage proposal. You said you got it ready. We've been waiting. We gave ours. Members are here. They would like to see the wage.
Well, we have a wage proposal prepared. As you just stated, you would be ready to give your package proposal after the caucus.
We will. We would like to see your wage proposal.
Yeah, currently after the caucus. As we speak.
And we had agreed that your wage proposal would come before the caucus, coming into the session. I don't know why it wasn't given before the caucus. If it's ready to go, let's see it. I don't want to spend too much more time arguing about the order of operations. You have a wage proposal. Let's see it.
We think it's important that that the order is.
So Nick, I don't agree that we had agreed in our emails beforehand that we would provide the wage proposal. Hold on. What we said was we expected that you would provide a package proposal with that, a wage proposal, because they're going to be the new. You then asked for one tweak that we would provide the written responses to the outstanding documents. We did that. We conveyed in no uncertain terms over a couple of emails with you and Matt and Bill and myself that we expected the package proposal. You said at the outset of the meeting, you would provide it.
We will
So
have
we're
it.
waiting for the package proposal.
Why? What are you waiting on? For the wage proposal?
The package proposal.
So it's dependent on the package proposal that we're gonna make to you.
No, we had,
Yes.
well, we had a yes and a no.
Everything in the package proposal, or things in the package proposal probably has, financial impact.
So you're gonna hear our package proposal, then caucus again, amend your wage proposal and come back to us?
You'll caucus after your package proposal.
Making sure you all heard that. We would really, if the wage proposal is ready, we've been waiting for this for almost 6 months.
I'm sorry, tonight you gave us your rate.
We gave you benchmarks, we gave you benchmarks in the spring as to where we wanted to land. And we've been waiting for a wage proposal. You told us back in the spring that you weren't gonna give us a wage proposal until we gave you one. We gave you our parameters and we gave you our wage proposal and we were, in email, Bill said, when was it, Friday afternoon, later in the afternoon, you said you would have a wage proposal for us. I don't understand why we can't. see it.
Which we do. Have a wage
And
proposal.
we have our package, and we would like to see the wage proposal.
And
We've been more than patient.
Well, the agenda was, get the package, then read it,
Why can't you give us?
I'm just going by what we talked about. And that was, we would get the package. You wanna go off that track, that's. another subject.
Why is there communication in between staff?
Teachers adjust on the fly all day long. Perhaps we could.
And so do we, but we all are trying to be prepared with them. And we all have expectations. So otherwise, maybe the communication is validated.
We asked you guys to prepare a wage proposal in advance of the session,
Yeah.
specifically so that it was not contingent on the proposals that we made to you. People want to know what you think that teachers should be paid, right?
So a couple things. One, first, I understand the scope of the meeting, but there are solid representatives, and the idea is in the spirit of negotiation, that representative is. Okay, it's not easy for members of the committee, our team to be surrounded. What?
Oh,
Like, no.
Silent, please.
Go back, guys.
We're at the table, understanding that there are so many people in the room, that we have people looking quite literally over our shoulders. That's not an easy big position for us to be in, but we're here, we're trying to dialogue. I understand that. I understand that.
It's public.
But
No,
it's
This,
standing over our
this,
shoulders.
this woman has been on our computers the entire negotiations time.
We haven't complained. We don't see what is a problem.
In terms of the order, though, we talked about, we had this back and forth both at the end of the last meeting and through email about having the package proposal being given to us. So it does feel like it's returning a little bit else, and we're supposed to be giving you our wage proposal before we give our package proposal.
We're gonna caucus for 5 minutes.
So, contentious there for a few minutes. I do want to just remind everybody that it's the nature of these things. A little bit heated, that's fine. Great, it's a good idea. It's important to us, with only 7 of us here, and you can have a hard about it all you want, 170 of you here, whatever. If you wanna, make noises or have your phone on or make crying eyes when something happens on our side, that isn't looked at in the nature of what we want to accomplish. So it's kind of a general reminder, probably to myself more than anything else, to watch my tongue and watch what I think.
I've also respected and reminded our folks that sign reps are sign reps.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. Let's get on with the business at hand.
All right, so Rachel is pulling together a few copies of this document for you. I apologize if any of the formatting or content of it I need to amend verbally. The Wi-Fi situation was actually a pretty big hindrance to the caucus, but we did the best that we can, and anything that's not accurate in what we give you, I will flag, and I will send you a revised version.
Right, so this will be coming to you electronically. There are color-coded pieces to the proposal. These copies are black and white, these are the color copies, so if you want to share them amongst yourselves, and then these are the black and white.
They're the same thing.
It's the exact same thing, it's just that those are in color and those are not, so they're every other way. So they're pieces. But that's right.
That's a whole-
That's our whole one, right?
They go every other way, so there are 4, I think, color copies, and the rest are black and white. All the same thing,
Yeah.
but only 4 color copies, so perhaps like the chair, the superintendent, the council should get the color and then the black and white, and again, it'll come to you electronically and you'll see.
Thank you. Thanks. Thanks. The people on our side.
So as you guys get these together, I will flag for you. I have made this format of a proposal in many districts over the years, and the first time seeing this document can be a little bit overwhelming. There's a lot of stuff here. I'm gonna try to walk you through the best I can. The reason for the color coding is I think it helps point us to things when there's a question about what the position is. But I will run through it. So we have taken what we believe to be every provision, every item that is on the table from both sides and separated it into different buckets, if you will, of things that we have already agreed to. So the tentative agreements we've reached, those are in green. Orange are the things that the union, as part of this package that is made as one kind of take it or leave it package, the union would accept as last proposed, right? So these are a couple of things that you guys have made counters to. These are a couple of things that you guys have made initial proposals to that we hadn't responded to yet. But the union would accept the last version of what was on the table. There are then 2 buckets of red, things that we would ask the school committee to withdraw as part of this package. And about 33 items, almost half the union proposals that as part of this package, the union would be willing to withdraw. Those are in red. The things in yellow are things that we are essentially writing new counter proposals to. So this is language that you have not seen yet, that we are offering for the first time as part of this package. And the items in purple are things that would be part of this agreement that you would agree to, that were initially proposed by the union, and our position remains the same. These are essential items that need to find their way into a final agreement. So this is intended to point us in the path to an agreement. It's my impression as the newbie in the room, right, that the amount of items on the table was a little bit distracting, right? And one of the exercises that we took upon ourselves was to focus on what the path to an agreement is and to highlight for the school committee, what are the things that need to be in a final agreement, right? And that is what we try to do through this package. So it's written out in roughly an MOU form, right, to expedite the process and to give the impression that this is a document that if we could come to an agreement on, we could come to an agreement in very short order after agreeing to the contents, right? It is structured like an MOU and we could move forward from there. If there is a question on what exact language we are asking you to withdraw, there's kind of a table of contents later on in the document that says the title that's referenced in the chart and the actual language that we're asking you to withdraw. put a lot of work into this, so hopefully it helps move things forward. I'm gonna move through these things relatively quickly, and please do flag for me if you need me to slow down. So the green items are things that are tentatively agreed to. I don't think we need to spend much time on those. The things that we deemed housekeeping, we compiled again later in the document, so it didn't clutter up the front. I'm gonna move straight to the orange items. These are things that we would accept as last proposed by the school committee. So the recognition proposal, we would accept what you guys proposed today. Personal day response, you guys had offered a couple of sessions ago, this concept of a 5-day response to personal day requests, we would accept that. Membership sign up distribution, as you proposed last session with that last sentence lumped off, we would accept that. Walkthrough feedback, you had proposed earlier in this process, but the version of that you proposed would be accepted. Professional learning communities, that was outlined maybe previously, but definitely in the document you gave us last session, and we would accept what was there. Same thing with O'Malley planning time. This was in the document that you gave us last session, and as part of the package, we would accept that version of the proposal. Proof of jury duty, we would accept the proposal that you all had initially made as part of your initial proposals. And same thing with the Labor Management Committee on stipended positions. We would accept that. That was accidental. So any confusion on those things that we said that we would accept? The language is all there, what we think the last version of the proposal is, so that is what we're intending to agree to as part of the package. Yellow items might be a bit more in need of explanation. These are things that are new for the first time that you guys are seeing today, counter proposals to topics that have previously been on the table. Number 15, sick day approval. We think that it was just an error in the last proposal, but we think that there was conceptual agreement that in the first year of employment, folks would get 10 sick days, and in the second year of employment and forward, people get 17. So that's the concept we're proposing. I think it is roughly what you guys have proposed back to us with some housekeeping changes. You all had proposed adopting the new DESI evaluation rubric. We are proposing the formation of a joint labor management committee to review that with the aim of implementing it down the road, but we think that a group of educators with less on their plates should really hone in on exactly the implications of that. Immediate sick leave, we had initially proposed that folks could use all of their sick time to care for their immediate family members. This proposal calls for folks to be able to use 15 days to care for their immediate family members, unless it is an extended FMLA leave, right? So if I'm home with my kid who has a broken leg or cancer for an extended period of time, we'd like to be able to use our sick leave to cover that FMLA leave as well. Related service provider scheduling, number 18. We had initially asked the employer to develop schedules for these employees. We are now saying that the employees would develop the schedule and get approval from their supervisor to take that burden off of the employer. Overflow report writing, we had initially proposed 2 staffing proposals. One was caseload limits for service providers, and another was additional substitutes for service providers. This is aimed at the same thing. These folks are taking on extremely high caseloads, are not able to complete their work during the day. We're asking that the work that they need to take home, that they be compensated for that work. Start of the school year orientation, we are asking for 30 minutes at the orientation day for new employees and 30 minutes at the beginning of the year all staff meeting. I think that largely happens now, and we would like to codify it. Mid-year orientation, essentially the same proposal. We think that these orientations should be on a set schedule so that neither the employer or the union are having to track down every newly hired employee throughout the course of the year. The one change that we made was to be clear that the release time and the people who would facilitate this was the union president, who already has release time, and you wouldn't need to release other union leaders to facilitate these meetings. Terminology, there had been proposals back and forth about should employees in this unit be called teachers or educators. We're just now proposing a more standard terminology of saying employee and then defining employee as everybody within this bargaining unit. Religious holidays, number 23, we had initially asked for as many religious holidays as people need to observe their respective faith, and we are now proposing up to 3 religious holidays in 1 year, so a bit more close-ended. Emotional distress in classrooms, we are maintaining the same proposal, except we are adding in the job descriptions for the various teams that have been developed by the school committee.
Meaning you want all your. Plus our.
Yes, right, so it's the same proposal as you guys saw last week with the definitions that you've been proposed the session before added in. Elementary school hours, I want to highlight, this is a counter proposal. It's a critical need for the union to find its way into the final agreement. That all employees, regardless of whether they're elementary school, middle school, or high school, will be responsible for the 20 after school hours. Whereas right now, our elementary school teachers are responsible for 27 after school hours, and the other folks do 20. The change here was that our initial proposal also had language delineating what folks would do within those 20 hours. We took that out to highlight the thing that we're trying to change is the equality of the hours that each employee has to do. 26, release time. We do think this is an important issue, but we propose language to essentially kick the can down the road. In the event that there is a union president elected who is not a high school teacher, that we would meet at that time and figure out what an appropriate release time schedule is. This is something other districts figure out when they have part-time elementary school release time presidents, and I'm sure we can figure it out too. 27, return to work notice. This is a proposal from the school committee. We removed the last paragraph of this proposal, which had said that if an employee does not give notice more than 4 weeks in advance of their leave ending, that they were changing their return to work date, that they wouldn't be able to change their return to work date. We don't think that's reasonable. People have end of leave doctor's appointments where the doctor may say the leave actually needs to continue, right? So if that happens within 4 weeks, they need to be able to extend their leave. Last one in the counter proposals is O'Malley teaching time. We heard the need to accommodate time on learning requirements, and the need for folks to teach 10 additional minutes. That's our proposal back, is to change the 240 to 250 rather than the open-ended language that the school committee had proposed.
You just spell mail correctly.
Yeah, I flagged that.
Matt,
You're saying it correctly, which I appreciate. I mean, just spell it correctly.
in my defense, Matt proofread this about
I did.
20 times.
I did.
It's working on everybody. That's how I spell it.
So we are now getting into the items that you have seen before. These have not changed from the last version of the proposals that you have made. There are not too many of these, but they are critical to getting to an agreement. The first 3 are, I would lump together and say they are requests for the employer to respond to employees in a reasonable timeframe. Right, so a general timeframe to respond to emails, tuition reimbursement response, and disciplinary referral responses. There needs to be, it should not be insurmountable hurdles, like what's the appropriate timeframe to expect a response, and let's agree to it. 32 parental leave, those 5 days offered today is not sufficient to make an impact for any new parent. It is not in line with what other districts are receiving this round of bargaining, and we are maintaining the same position that we had originally of 12 weeks of employer-paid parental leave. Personal days, we don't think that we ever actually received a response to this proposal that we had made 2 sessions ago. We had proposed this and you guys have responded with the language about the 5-day personal day response, but not actually to this content of a proposal, right? That people are professionals and should be able to take their personal days, can be trusted to do that. And if we need to build in guardrails, we are willing to do that, but again, people should not have to be dependent on the approval of their boss to take personal days. They should be trusted to schedule those. Elementary prep time, we are maintaining the position that 30 minutes of prep time is insufficient and continuing to propose the 40. Half sick days, we think this is a mutually beneficial proposal, especially in a world where we don't have enough substitute teachers. instead of pulling a para for a full day because a teacher can't take a half day sick day, allow people to take half sick days and then the para can get back to class where they belong. Two-factor authorization, y'all have rejected this today. We think it's an important issue to figure out a way to resolve, but it's cropping up more and more for folks. Then that is one of the edits. It is down below in the actual body of the document. We just forgot to add it to the grid. Yeah. Yep. Sick bank use, we are continuing to propose that any purpose of sick leave, a member may access the sick bank, right? If you look at that in conjunction with the proposal made above, one of our key concerns is people being able to access the sick bank when their kiddo is home or their spouse is home with a serious illness, right? Which is not the case. We've had members get denied and have to take unpaid days in those situations. And then we get into the financial proposals, which you guys have seen. I do not need to relitigate them. And then Matt is going to explain what we mean by proposal number 40.
Proposal number 40, resolution of outstanding differences. So if you turn to page 12.
I don't see it. We
Or
have
13.
But then
Third.
is the numbering weird too?
It didn't need to fit in any of the grids, so it's in the body as well.
Bottom of page 12, resolution about.
So it looks like there's some pagination issues on this.
Well, we have the old.
Oh, we have the old version, that's why.
It's on the bottom of the book.
Got it.
You can shoot me one of those.
Oh, my eyes.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Well, here, 13, and then it goes over to the page 13, which is the things right now, and then the rest of the page, that's what it has. That's correct. We're all there?
All right. Parties will resolve all outstanding differences related to the collective bargaining agreement covering the paraprofessional bargaining unit. This shall include the incorporation of previously reached tentative agreements, the application of relevant above provisions to both bargaining units, agreement on wages, and resolution of other outstanding proposals. We put this in there because paraprofessionals are the lifeblood of our daily lives. The fact that we are in 2 years of them working without a contract is unacceptable to our community and unacceptable to us. We are facing a crisis. We are hemorrhaging ESPs. And if we don't fix that, we're going to hemorrhage educators too. We realize the ramifications of things, but this is something that our educators, our members have addressed to us as of monumental importance. That's it on our end. I think that's it.
Salary scales are in there, yeah. Great.
Just a quick question, how do you use that? This is like 1 through 4, 1 through 8, but you were using different numbers.
The actual proposal number,
I see, okay,
but it falls in that same order in the document.
okay, I just want to make sure.
And you can always, if you're caucusing and have questions, you can always email or text one of us.
Okay.
Yeah, and I will make sure all the formatting and numbering is all correct and everything made its way into the grid, right? That was part of the trouble of doing it. Okay. On the room over there, that's a cinder block.
So we've hit 7 o'clock. Do you want to vote to extend? Did you want to caucus?
I think we should vote to extend. Yeah, so we go our way.
Do we want to call it 7:30? 7, what do we?
7:45. Should we have a stop time for vote? You want to get back to us in a caucus? How late will it start?
No, I think we're just gonna present.
Yeah, we're just gonna.
Just gonna present, so.
7:30, 7:45. 7 o'clock now, we're gonna caucus.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. I see. I was sending you out of the.
It's okay.
I'm not gonna get through this in the caucus, so I think I gotta. Paid all the work that went into that. And And I don't think we need to caucus to be allowed.
Do you want the microphone for your
Oh, we need to vote
presentation?
to, stand.
Yeah. I make a motion that we extend. Did you get it?
I did.
All in favor?
This is a live mic, would you like it for your presentation?
But it's in this too.
Oh, is it?
I just shut it off. You're turning. All right, so let me, ooh, yes, that's okay. Okay.
So,
Ready, babe?
wait, you want me to, so.
You want to show it?
Presentation?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
So, the Gloucester Public Schools value, as you all know, student belonging, engagement, learning, and academic achievement. Teachers in our classrooms and students being taught by our highly qualified, experienced teachers every day. Family and staff-friendly benefits, including leave time, pension benefits, personal time off, health insurance, and numerous options for additional benefits. And supporting teachers with generous benefits from the moment they start working for Gloucester Public Schools until well after retirement.
Okay, so,
Is this a proposal?
It is.
But where is this being proposed?
no, we're stating values.
Stating values, this is our presentation and this is.
Oh, this is not a proposal?
It's introducing our proposal.
Okay.
I also just want to, before we give our open proposal, remind everybody about the budget process we just went through with the city. We were more hopeful to get more funding than we actually got. I think some of us felt we had done a lot of really hard work with both the city administration and the city council. Only to get much less, as you know, you're missing colleagues that we all value and we all know our students need. And we did not want to end up in the budget situation endpoint that we ended up in. We will continue to advocate for additional funding this coming year and do as much as we can in terms of getting a bigger share of the pie. We know there's a limited pie that's there. But we do believe, education is the most important thing, and children of our community are the most important thing to make sure that we get the best that we can possibly offer them. So, and also to remind everybody, our increase to our budget, our operating budget, which is where increases come from, and increases in other costs like health insurance and special education costs, our increase was 3.5%. So everything needs to fit within this fiscal year. We're not sure what next year is going to bring because a lot of our budget was based on closing some of those gaps. Also, we got one-time money, and one-time money means you only get it once, you don't get it every year. So, so with that said, this is our opening.
Okay, so the first slide, just a couple of slides, and in that we'll kind of lay out the presentation. So, and as a reminder, any increase that we're talking about tonight is in addition to not only these percentages, but a dollar figure with us along. So, starting point, teacher salary increases annual percentages. The percentage increases below are the amount every teacher earns for completing a work year. So this is outside of what we're talking about as a COLA. This is a step increase. Any negotiated cost of living adjustments are in addition to the already established salary percentage increases listed below. In the left-hand column, 5 and 6 means a teacher is moving from the 5th year to their 6th year of employment. Those teachers on step 13 remain on step 13 and only earn the COLA salary increase.
Since 2013.
Yeah.
Since 2013.
Understood.
Bill, really, just really quickly for our members in the back room, can I just push that way?
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't interfere with the camera.
Their way to increase the. Presentation. If you wanna come around.
Yeah, you might want to go around. That's all I can do, like the cables.
Okay, starting point, annual teacher salary increases. Again, this is the already negotiated step increases that every teacher sees outside of step 13 with a step increase. The salary increase is below the amount every teacher earns for completing a work year. Any negotiated COLA are salary increases in addition to these already established salary increases listed below. In the left-hand column, again, 5 and 6, moving from 5th year to 6th year of employment. And again, step 13 remain on step 13 and only get the COLA.
I understand this correctly, this is you folks saying it's 0%. Well,
No.
Presentation.
Yes.
We're not understanding.
I just want to understand what management's showing. These numbers are.
These numbers are the already negotiated, yeah.
So
outside of
0% COLA, that's what this is.
That is right.
They're trying to explain to us what it's. Oh, it's stepping.
Yes, this is the step increase as a dollar figure and as a percent. Those have been the first two slides.
So what is the
It's
percent?
already established.
What is the percentage? What is the percentage here? 0?
No, they're just.
We're just simply putting out some information.
So 0, council? Is that what I just want to know what I'm looking at.
No,
What-
we're not.
This is 0%.
We're not done.
Let's continue, please.
Can we just get through this?
I just, it's really.
Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and caucus one more time.
No.
Let's continue. Let's just continue. Okay, the Gloucester School Committee, this is the opening salary COLA proposal. Gloucester School Committee is opening at 2.25, 2.5, and 2.5 COLA proposal, which is on top of those previous two slides. If this proposal is agreed upon during this contract, then teachers' annual salary will increase by the amount listed below based on where each staff member is on the salary schedule. So that's over the 3-year contract. Those are the increases at 2.25, 2.5, and 2.5. Again, this is our opening proposal, and those are the dollar numbers attached to them over 3 years. Okay, next slide. Yeah. Oh, no, you got. That's as a percentage. Gloucester School Committee opening salary COLA proposal, and that shows as a percentage over the 3 years.
So management's proposing 7 over 3. 7% over 3?
7.5.
I'm sorry, 7.25.
Yeah.
And you all know it's Salem just got, right?
We're not here to discuss and negotiate the Salem contract. We're here to negotiate the Gloucester.
But you all do know that. Salem
We
got
know
90%.
exactly what we
90%.
we watched the news as well. That's our opening proposal. That's where we're at.
And I just want to say, we go through the step increases that are already in the contract because those increases every year have to get funded through our budget. So, we always have a guaranteed amount we have to fit within the budget. And so anything in between what's already negotiated and what we get from the city is where everything else needs to go. Contract negotiations, health insurance increases. So that's why we present that, because there's a very real cost and a very real cost to taxpayers as well. And really kind of It's just one of those fixed things that we have to deal with from a financial.
So the distribution of folks amongst the pay scales shouldn't change radically from year to year. Right, there isn't like an inherent cost to steps as people at the top of the scale retire and are replaced by educators who are earlier in the scale. Right, it's not like you have to account for every employee advancing the step or else you would cost it out and everybody would be at the top of the scale, and that's not the reality that we live in.
I've been at the top of the scale since 2006.
So people understand what a step increase is, right? It is not. It's not a raise, right? Like the existence of steps is to prevent earlier career employees from earning what they should. Right? Like the top of the scale is the closest thing that we have to a fair wage for educators. Right? They're not getting a raise to get there. They're being held back from a wage that they deserve.
I've been at the top step since 2007, starting at 93, 94.
And I don't know, I'm before that, I don't know exactly, but I'm before. It's been a long time.
So that's to say, like, that is not how educators actually feel about their wages, right? And this is not a wage increase that is going to be sufficient to keep teachers here when I just negotiated a contract 10 minutes down the road that gives teachers in Salem a 20% raise over 3 years. Right, so this is something we're gonna have to figure out. We gave you guys our path to get to a wage that would actually keep teachers in Gloucester. And we hope that you give consideration to it and amend your proposal accordingly.
Thank you. Yeah.
I have the scale. Can you send me the presentation?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.